On the latest episode of The Bill Barnwell Show, I talked to ESPN The Magazine's Mina Kimes about the latest episode of The Bachelor. Hot stuff. You can check out the show on iTunes or by going to the ESPN app on your phone.
ESPN LA. Jeff Katz, Kirk Morrison in for Thompson and Trudell. The Power Hour.
Hold on, let me take my last breath.
Yeah, do that. So, how is that donut? Is it good? Good donut?
Yeah, that's the last breath you can take in the Power Hour.
That's right. That's it. Well, no, this was my big thing. So I've only done the Power Hour once. I've only been here, the Power Hour era, which is young. I was on last week, and it was a test for me because, as you know, some listeners, longtime listeners of the station know, I have the bladder of a 95-year-old man, and I drink a lot of Diet Coke. And so last week I navigated fine. I will warn you, I had half of one earlier in addition to the one I'm drinking now.
But you already had a potty break, though.
I did, but I still, just in case we have, Funchess has got my Riley Martin jug ready. Standing by. So if we need it, I think we're going to be okay. We'll grit through it together, people.
Yes.
And together we will exercise these demons. Man, it's a pleasure to be with you, Kirk.
Pleasure to be with you.
I want to note really quickly before we get into this Magic Johnson, Kobe Michigas. I was walking in.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about parking and working in LA Live is that you get, promotion for all the weird stuff that are playing in the 15 theaters in this complex.
It's something going on.
There's always, and it's a weird mishmash of stuff. So it'll be like the Wiggles will play one night and then Rammstein the next. It's ridiculous.
And then a Snoop up and Smoke Tour
tomorrow. And what were the damn it, the guys from House Party. Full Force. I was trying to go full force and I couldn't pull it. But I'm walking
R. Kelly will be here in a couple days.
R. Kelly, that's right.
No, he's actually performing. My wife
he's performing in the men's room, or in the closet. The Trapped in the Closet.
Trapped in the Closet, you're right. You got it.
Which is his album name. That's not a euphemism. I'm walking in, and there's an ad. They're doing a 90s concert. Did you see this billboard? It's a 90s, best of the 90s. And it's got CNC Music Factory and Sugar Ray and all that stuff. But the headline, or the thing that I kind of dug, is Salt and Pepper. And what I was really pleased to see is that now when they get billing, it is Salt and Pepper with Spinderella.
That wasn't the case before.
That's right. And I just want to say, as a young man, Spinderella was the sexiest. Spinderella was a good-looking woman.
Look,
I'm glad she's getting some credit.
We've done shows before, but now doing today, me and you, we're here now. We're brothers now because I was already feeling the same thing. I've always been a Spinderella guy, and
easily
there's Salt, there's Pepper, but the N, and all I gave her was the N. She was just N. Salt.
It's
Pepper.
You're giving me the two pieces of bread,
right?
But she was the meat. Was Spinderella. And so I just want to give a shout out to Spinderella. Funchess, you're pro Spinderella as well, I would assume.
Yeah.
What was the music video where Spinderella was in lingerie?
Lingerie, it was a pink lingerie thing, and she was
What a Man? Was it What a Man?
I think it might have been What a Man.
Because it was all kind of sensual.
Yeah.
It wasn't It's None of Your Business, because that was a more angry music video. Because you shouldn't get into who she's giving skins to, if I remember the lyric correctly.
Look at you.
I'm salt, please, 90 Salt and Pepper. But Spinderella, so I was just very happy. Shout out to Spinderella. We speak your name this entire episode of the Power Hour in honor of you and your great beauty. Wherever you are, Spinderella, please come in and sit in for an hour, and we will honor you and feed you grapes, and it will be wonderful.
On our walk to Starbucks.
Yes,
in the morning
that's
downstairs.
exactly right. So
LA Live Starbucks.
Shout out to you, Spinderella. Now, in one corner there was Spinderella. In another, in an era before that, there was Sheila E. And Sheila E., of course, was the drummer on a very short-lived late-night television show called The Magic Hour. That show hosted by one Magic Johnson. And that is how you professionally segue from talking about Spinderella into talking about Magic Johnson's desire to run the Lakers front office. Boy, it's been a while, but I still got it, Kirk.
Yeah,
what do you think of this?
What do I think of this? It's kind of bringing the magic back to Los Angeles.
No, you went Lethal Weapon 2 with it.
I did. I had to. No, but when you think about it, when you say that name, Magic, it does something to people. And it does some people in just sports in general, not just basketball, not just Los Angeles. I remember talking to a friend of mine. We were at an event one time, and a buddy of mine said, "Hey, where you guys live?" And I said, "Oh, well, I live in Los Angeles." He said, "Oh man, I know Magic." I said, "Whoa, what do you do? Are you a magician?" Or he said, "No, I know Magic, like Magic Johnson." I was like, "Oh wow." And he was just telling me Magic helped him out on these different business ventures, things like that. So when I just hear the name Magic, or if someone says that name, you automatically think of not only success, you think of fight. You think of determination. You think of a guy that can overcome anything. So when you bring him back to this, that's my take on it, is that you're thinking about greatness. You're thinking about a guy who, no matter what, is going to get this thing right. Whether it's in the business world, whether it's now back into the fold of being an NBA executive. Is that what you want to call him now? A Lakers executive? Is that the proper title? I mean, what are we calling him?
That's part of the issue here, I think.
And what are we going to call him?
Here's what I want to do. And this, I think, will speak to my concern. I am probably the most bearish or pessimistic about this move of anybody here.
Okay.
I don't like it. And I'll explain to you why, but I want to hear, Magic has been very vocal. And I will say to you that part of this, I think, at some level is the recognition that is just far, particularly in a losing PR battle when the team is not very good, to have Magic in the tent aiming out as opposed to outside aiming in is a good thing for the organization. And let's be honest, he was outside aiming in for the past several years.
Yeah.
Not the most artful tweeter, but makes his point known. Here is where I start to get concerned, and I want to. This is Magic, sort of forecasting a bit of his vision. He's talking to Stephen A. Smith, which you can hear, of course, coming up next on this station. Shout out to him. With a hint of his vision for his role, for what happens when he comes into the organization. Here's Magic.
First call I'll make if I'm in charge, Kobe Bryant. Because Kobe understands winning. He understands also these players, and so I would call, what role you want, bro? Give me, if you got a day, just give me that day. I take that. Whatever time he has, I want him to come and be a part of it.
All right, seems harmless enough. I want to play you one more clip, and then let's unpack this.
I feel right now we have too many voices, too many messages coming out of the Laker organization, and then we haven't, unfortunately, made the right decisions. And hopefully we can correct that as well as we move forward. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting down with Jim and Mitch, hearing what they have to say on Monday and Tuesday.
All right, first clip was courtesy of First Take, starring, of course, notable alumnus Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. And the second clip, courtesy of Stephen A. Smith. So it's all in the ESPN universe, if you will, Funches. These are all really innocuous, seemingly harmless quotes, right? They scare the hell out of me at a lot of levels. There is an old adage, and I think we have seen this at some level with USC in recent history. You can't go home again. And my concern is that while Magic is ultimately the face, you need him in the organization. He's
right.
The face. He is, with great respect to Kobe, as long as I live, Magic Johnson is Mr. Laker to me. Like, he's the face of the franchise, whether he's working there or not. I worry very much that the work, listen, this is a full-time job. This is basically in the modern NBA. Where you are guys,
I'll give you that
where
one.
Guys have accounts for, you got analytics accounts, you got the thing that Mason's got that's analyzing video footage, etc. This is not a job that you can sort of helicopter in and oversee and then go on to the next thing. So when I hear, I don't disagree there are too many voices in the process, but when I hear Magic coming in and saying, well, I want to oversee everything, but then I want to bring Kobe in and say, what role do you want? It all sounds wonderful on paper, right? We're getting the band back together.
Right.
I would much rather see them say, we're cleaning house and we're going to go in and bring in the best young basketball mind. And you want Magic to oversee that, great. But what I'm not hearing is getting those guys. What I'm hearing is kind of like the traveling all-star, we're getting everybody back together, right? Putting the band back together. And that scares me. And I also just a great respect to Magic. It's not really that easy. We've seen a lot of people, it's not guaranteed he's going to be successful at this.
Yeah.
It's not.
We've
seen a lot of great players fail.
Yeah, but I also agree that he's a guy who failed as a coach as well. So he
That's
understands that there's things that he has failed at, but there's also things that he knows he needs help at.
Television, perhaps.
Yes. But he knows, I won't do that again. I won't be a coach. I won't be a late night talk show host ever again. But basketball is what he knows. This is what built Magic.
But he was coaching he wasn't coaching highlight.
Yeah, but
Parcheesi. He was coaching basketball.
But
respectfully.
But at the end of the day, it's hours in the coaching that I think that Magic was never going to be able to put himself in that situation.
Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time.
Right.
And he has up until only very recently greatly struggled through two incarnations to have a managerial now obviously full ownership role with a team. Now Magic is a brilliant businessman. Let me say, as a Sparty, I love him. Larry's done great things for the school. boy, oh boy, I'd be a bit more excited if you said, first of all, I think if you're bringing him in, you have to fire Mitch and you actually have to kind of clean house a little bit. I don't think you want fiefdoms if there are already too many voices.
I'm not firing Mitch, though. I think Mitch has done a terrific job.
If he's done a terrific job, they wouldn't be in the. Why is Magic being brought in?
He did a terrific job as far as the draft.
Has he?
Yeah, I think so. You bring in Randall, you bring in Ingram, you have Russell, you have guys who you say, you know what, we have pieces here. Now, can we bring in another star? And I think he's been the only thing that I think Mitch has really messed up is Kobe's sort of farewell.
Which really, that wasn't his call.
Right, yeah, but that's where he's kind of handcuffed, and he's going to get a ton of the blame.
That was above his pay grade,
right?
I would say.
But think about it. It's really going to hang on him, though. Nobody else is going to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to take the way we let Kobe out of here and the way that we left the franchise over the last couple of years. I don't think it's all on him, but when you say go out and blow it up and do what? Because once you blow it up now, Jeff, you're saying that we're starting all the way over.
No, I'm
talking about all the way over.
I don't believe that.
Guess
if you
what?
blow it
up, that's not selling tickets, Jeff. That's not this Staples Center over here. I don't want to hear we're blowing this thing up. We're starting all the way over. When I hear blow up, I think of expansion team.
I don't. Oh, I think that's an overreaction.
No, that's not overreaction. When you say blow it up, you're blowing it up.
You said blow it up, not me. You said that. That was your words, not mine.
I'm saying when you do, if he does come in and then says, "I want to blow this thing up and start over," that's expansion talk to me.
I don't agree with that. It's business talk, and it's the reality of when new management comes into an organization. More often than not, they want their own people, and they are generally being brought in because the previous management of the organization is not working. I don't believe any Laker fan, even with the most, I won't even say rose-colored glasses, I'll say purple and gold-colored glasses, would look at you or I with a straight face and say, the last several years have been working. If you believe this has been great and working, please call 877-710-ESPN. Tell me what I'm missing. I think most Laker fans at this point, while we see flashes of promise in the kids, and I'm not saying flip the kids, okay? But I don't think any of us look at them. And when you look at Embiid step onto the court this year, and you say, okay, if that guy stays healthy, that guy's a star. Anthony Davis on a lot of bad teams, but you look at Anthony Davis and you go, that guy is an A-level player. I don't know that you look at any of these three kids and say that at this point. And let's also be frank that it wasn't like a master plan to end up here. They looked into the position to keep those picks and stumble into it. They thought they were contending. So I think there's a lot to indict over the last several years. Yeah. And all I am saying is that I'm all for having Magic within the organization. If you want him as the spiritual head of operations, God bless. I just think it's time to maybe bring in the best the best basketball minds on the market, basketball minds that don't have a problem recruiting players before July 1st or whatever, the stuff that you hear out there, and that are playing the game, if you will, from an organizational management point of view in the modern way. That's what I'm after.
But then I think you have to also look at yourself in the mirror. And I think too many times.
I'm not running the team.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think too many times they're saying, we're the Lakers, we'll be fine. We'll get this thing fixed. We'll bring in Magic, we'll get it fixed.
Right.
And I think
that's my point.
But I think when you do bring in another basketball mind, someone outside and say, you know what? This organization is not what you think it is. This is not what you think it is. Guys just don't want to come here anymore as like they used to in the past, though, Jeff. So when you try to rearrange or what they've done here with the draft picks and trying to bring in Anthony Davis or bringing in Russell Westbrook.
I don't buy any of that.
Yeah,
I think that's bunk. I know that rumor's out there. Right. I don't believe a lick of it.
I'm saying that to a reason for the fact that this team is still 3 to 5 years away. That's the one thing I do agree with Magic. No matter what you do, this team is still 3 to 5 years away.
So what are you blowing up exactly?
Yeah, so when he comes in and says this, I think he just wants to say, look, I know the way we did things. I just want to make sure that before y'all do and make some decisions, I want to be a part of it. He may not say, you know what, I got last say.
That is what he's saying, though. Respectfully, is that not what he has been saying?
I don't think he has last say, but he wants to understand what are we doing. I think when you look at where this team is right now, going forward, before we start to make some decisions for the future, let's all hash this out because you two doing it, but whether it's Genie Buzz, whether it's Jimba, we need to all sit down in a room and say, you know what, let me bring in Kobe because we're not going to let this thing fall. What Magic is saying is what we've built, what the Showtime Lakers have built, what Kobe and the Shaq era, what we've built, we don't want to see it all just go down the wayside.
Of course
not. And become a team that's just happy to be at 500.
But that's kind of why I think perhaps just bring in the best. You're telling me, listen, the best GMs and management and rising executives throughout the league, it's the Lakers.
Yeah.
They would kill to come and work for the Lakers. You will have your pick of executive talent once they know the management issue is sorted out. All right, once the Jim and Jeannie of it all is there, they will.
Is that the waiting process?
Listen, it's like Theo Epstein. It's the waiting process. It's clearly starting to be played out because the Magic thing is brought in to initiate that, seemingly, right? Also, Funchess, will you look, or correct me if I'm wrong, Magic did specifically say he wanted final say, like last week, did he not? We'll find that, but I'm pretty sure he did say that specifically. To me, I look at this in the same way that Theo Epstein would look at the Red Sox job or the Cubs job, where if you bring those franchises back, you're God. All right, if you go and win Brian Cashman, who has had a thankless job in sports, wins another left, and the next guy came in and brought a title back to the Yankees, he'd be a God in New York until he lost the next season, right? So that's all I'm saying is I just, in my as I said the other day to George, like when a studio brings in a new president of production, they usually don't keep the old president of production, say, okay, you're EVP now and you report to him. It just doesn't work that way. And I think if Magic is coming in, let him build his own team and get as many as you can possibly go and get. All right, let's, people, phones are blowing up, so maybe we'll find some people here that think this has all been wonderfully handled. We'll find out. The brilliantly named Jeff in North Hollywood. Jeff, you're on the air.
Yeah, Jeff, your prognostication is missing one major thing.
Please.
The major thing is that Jeannie Buss is in charge of the Lakers and the whole organization. She's trying to get Jim Buss out because he didn't fulfill his promise. So Magic is being used because Magic has, like you say, he's the face of the Lakers. He's the icon of the Lakers. But, you're talking about just bring the team back together. No, this is Jeannie Buss's way of telling Jim Buss, you didn't fulfill your promise. So because you didn't, I'm bringing somebody back. That's why Magic is talking about, I want full control. I want to be the only voice, because their conversation has been to that extent.
Totally agree with that, and I appreciate the call, Jeff. I believe I said that 30 seconds before I picked up the line, specifically that Magic was being in to drive Jim out. Yeah. That's part of why this was getting done. And by the way, it is like Laker fans, the one thing I've really learned over my time working here over the past several years is I didn't give Laker fans enough credit when I started working here. I used to think it was much more of a bandwagon-y fan. Oh, well, they win all the time, so people move here from other towns. No, this is a hardcore, educated fan base. They are smart basketball fans. I go to enough games. I sit and I talk to enough fans.
They don't forget.
That's right. It's not just that. Like, they are smart. They understand that the way the league works has changed. And so I think that, like, you don't need to run the whole, like, well, we always did it this way, and so we're going to, like, hiring Byron at some level was, bringing Phil in. Right. Oh, well, we won with this. And I think Phil is another cautionary tale, by the way.
Well, because remember, they brought Phil back. Remember he left for a couple years, and you bring him back.
They brought him back, and he did well.
And they won. And so it's like, oh, we've done it before.
Right, but Phil, it's a different sports world. But look at Phil in New York, where there's just no guarantee.
I'm not saying I'm bring him back now. I'm just saying that when you look at Lakers history, when you think about, okay, let's bring guys who we know, you feel more comfortable in letting the guys who we know handle it instead of bringing in outsiders into our own culture.
Listen, it is, sports are so provincial. Right. And what did you grow up?
I grew up in Oakland, California.
Okay, so that's right.
I'm a Warriors fan.
So it's no different than when the Warriors were struggling for years, post Mitch Richmond and Mullen and Hardaway, which was an awesome team if you're too young to not remember that team.
Oh, I know.
But there were a lot of fallow years in that run. Even Antoine Jameson?
Draft.
A lot of crazy run.
Chris Webber draft.
Chris Webber, of course, right. Wow, okay, there we go.
I mean, trust me, I go back to Adana Foyle. You know what I mean? Like,
that's like your family.
Yes.
Okay? You live and you die. I think in some ways, we may talk about that Draymond Green quote a little later today. In some ways, I don't know that it's a plantation mentality.
I don't know about later today, within this hour.
Yes. Well, no, actually, I don't know if you got the notice. It's been extended. It's now the Power 5-hour run. It's brought to you by 5 Hour.
Later on. Nah, I think it was within this hour.
Sometime within the hour, we will address this. Or some other show will get to it, I'm sure. That's a fair tease that somebody will pay off. Kelvin and Marcellus at about 5:45 tonight will pay that off.
Or Marcellus is Kelvin.
It's your Marcellus Kelvin, excuse me. It is beauty before age, I suppose, in that case. It is like your family. And so when someone leaves, when Grant Hill left my Pistons or Allen Houston to go to the Knicks, it's like the mob. You betrayed my family.
You're going back to the Fila days.
But I'm just saying, like, I get
Filas
this
on my feet.
I just get this instinct. It makes a lot of sense. And so I understand the provincial nature that brings it. All I'm saying is bring in the best possible people to do this. Like, trust them and let them carry the ball.
That's the thing about it. Will Laker fans trust an outsider? Do you get what I'm saying?
If they're smart and good.
Right, That's the tough part, though. Trusting someone outside.
I give Laker fans more credit than you.
I give them credit, but that's the thing about it is will they have that same patience with an outsider as if they had with the guy who's been inside?
It's a fair point. We'll hear from people here on this. Daniel in Sherman Oaks, you're on the Thompson and Trudell Power Hour.
Hi, thank you guys for taking my call. You got to get a big basketball mind, like a Presti, like a Troy Weaver, because like Laker fans, we're seeing these other teams' track record with these GMs. We definitely want a new guy in there, and Magic Johnson would be like a Friedman getting a Zoe and Zaidi and all these guys to help him, because that's the only way you're going to do this. And the way, like Mitch and they might have screwed up maybe a couple of the draft picks, and the Dave Mozgov deals, that's a fireable offense. And then what we heard that we didn't want to give Isaiah Thomas $6 million a year, which you could have had an asset, and he's now an all-star.
Yeah, that's a pretty good $6 million a year.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. So that's why it's hard as a Laker fan to be watching this. Do we have a star on this roster with these draft picks? I don't know, and that's
it's a bit scary. Daniel, thanks for the call, man. I don't think you do. No,
you don't have a star.
And to me,
you have guys that want to be stars, but they're not.
Well, you have guys who may think they are.
Right. That's exactly.
But I think last night, particularly, I'm watching that game, and it's funny. We've buried the elephant, which was as dispiriting a a last night against just a truly terrible team.
They got beat out the gym
by a team that is
see Jeff
should not be blowing them out of the gym.
Jeff, look, going into that game last night, you would think that both teams are kind of on equal footing as far as record-wise. You know what I mean? Lakers are, got what, 19 wins. I think the Suns had about like 17 or something like that. So you would say, okay, equal kind of footing. Teams are right there, at the same kind of forefront. But Phoenix went in last night. Like, we may not win a lot of games this year. We're still a young basketball team.
We're winning this one.
But we can beat these dudes. We can beat when you look at the schedule. I've always been a guy that now you know how people get the schedule for the season and you start to mark it down like, man, let me see Lakers February, okay, we can win that. They went in last night with that same kind of thing. And I thought the Lakers, I'm never been one to give excuses, but you can't have that performance at home against Sacramento the night before and then come out and look like a team that is you just didn't show up last night. And I know it's the All-Star break coming up and this and that, but it goes to show it now. It kind of fuels more, puts more gas to that fire. Well, what are they going to do? Because honestly, what happens now? There's going to be a time from right now until the start of the second or post All-Star break where the Lakers have to figure out, who are we right now? Like, where are we right now? And that's the last taste in my mouth, is that we got blown out by Phoenix by 36. I mean, that's bad. That's bad basketball.
And it was, from tip off, 5
from
minutes in, it is, listen, as I said earlier during Crosstalk, you live by the young team, you die by the young team. It's just a reality.
But you don't get beat by 36. I mean, that's not effort.
My bigger thing is when I look at Ingram, particularly, like, I think D'Angelo we all kind of get, like, we see flashes. I think he's a bit arrogant, I think, based on everything we hear, but like, there's some skill there, clearly. I like Randall's game generally. None of them are A-plus level players. The guy who worries me actually the most is Ingram now, because there are times where, particularly of late, he'll go through stretches where he just looks like a deer in headlights.
Oh, yeah.
And removing the string bean element already that's there just physically, that for a guy who comes out of Duke, I expect a certain sort of composure.
Well, he's only there for 6 months. You know what I mean?
And you know what? And maybe that's a good point. And maybe in some way it's a preconceived notion based on prior history. That's a very fair point.
Because you could say the same thing about Jahlil Okafor.
But like Kyrie Irving wasn't there very long. He was hurt, and Kyrie Irving comes out and is a killer.
Yeah, he was
Kyrie Irving from week one of his, when
he was a point guard too, and he was like, "Look, I'm gonna get mine." And remember when he did come into the NBA, there was no LeBron James on Cleveland. He came in. Look, you are the dude. Go get buckets. Okay, now his game has kind of evolved more just because now he's got some help with LeBron James, but he didn't come in as if, like Ingram, we're gonna work you all the way in. Like, no, you're about to play.
No, you're the number one pick. You're going to be the face of the team in the post LeBron era.
Go get buckets
until we find out that LeBron's coming home. And a piece of crack producing by producer Michael Funchess. He went into the ESPN archives earlier this week to find this other audio of Magic on First Take, speaking to our exact point. Here's Magic on First Take.
They have the potential to be a star. We don't know the superstar. When you start saying superstar, that's another level. But we have to wait another year to see that. Because it's just like Steph Curry. He didn't start off being Steph Curry. He developed into this Steph Curry. And on and on and on. James Harden, you can take a number of players that started here but grew into their stardom.
And who do you have your eye on?
Well, I think Randall, if he can get his right hand, he can be a star. I think D'Angelo has star talent. So now he has to get in the gym and go to work. And then Brandon, Ingram, he's amazing because I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's definitely going to be a star because he can do a little bit of everything. He's almost like a Scottie Pippen. Defense, he can score, block shots.
If he's Scottie Pippen, God bless. He's Scottie Pippen with 10 of the migraines from back in the day. I don't quite see that yet. But the one thing that I really do agree with in there that is cautionary with this team, I think, Kirk, is when you look at the modern NBA, there are a lot of guys who take a little time to develop. I mean, just look at Giannis as an example where we saw the athletic tools and now it's 30 points a night, you don't blink, right? Harden's a good example. I go back, Chauncey Billups when I was younger, he was a bust and then finally became an all-star, right?
Well, I think even Steph Curry, and I said he was a bust.
Isaiah Thomas, the new Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, you didn't know. Remember, this is his second team too.
$6 million. That is an incredible. I think it was Daniel the caller.
I think Sacramento didn't even know what they had too. You know what I mean?
That's an incredible stat.
It's part of what you have to go through, I think, in today's NBA. Remember before, it wasn't free agency or guys just didn't leave teams. Now, with so much movement, do you have a star? Is there a guy you want to build your team around? I think that's what Laker fans are really trying to figure out. Do we have that guy?
No, not right now. You don't. No, you don't.
You know what? We need to keep him. Because I think right now, everybody's really expendable.
That's right. Listen, if the right deal came along, absolutely.
If you can go out and get a DeMarcus Cousins or Davis, it didn't matter. Because right now, there's not one guy. When you show up to Laker games, you say, okay, we're going to watch a good team, but we're not showing up for one player. Remember, in the Kobe years.
You're not showing up for a good team.
Yeah. We're showing up to watch.
I'll have what you're having.
No, we're
going
love
me some Coke.
Michael's here today?
Is he here? Oh, wow.
He's in the back.
No, I love grass.
You're watching a team. You're watching a team.
I know he's in mourning, but goodness.
Not one guy or not guys. You know what I mean? Like before, it was more about, okay, we're showing up because I can't wait to see Kobe tonight. I can't wait to see Shaq and Kobe. I can't wait to see.
It was a show.
It's no longer that show. It's no longer that same appeal. You're going to go see basically some young guys and hopefully they do well. But the inconsistencies, like when I went to Laker games to watch Kobe, I knew what I was going to see. I knew what I was going to get.
Yeah, but that's like...
But I understand, though, and I know superstars are hard to come by, Jeff, but there is not that one guy that I can come up and say, I'm paying my hard-earned money to go see this basketball team and go see this guy, because with each game, you literally do not know where you're going to get from
here's
Russell.
The one thing I will say.
With Ingram, he's still on the verge. Randall, good game here, good game there, but is it enough?
In the organization's defense, so I went to a game a couple weeks ago. My Pistons were in town, and I ended up sitting next to a guy who actually listens to the station, as a matter of fact.
Right.
We started talking. And it was a birthday gift. It was his shout out to him. I unfortunately never got his name. A nice guy.
Nice guy. Happy birthday.
Hello, nice guy. Yes, happy birthday to you. And he had gotten as a gift from his girlfriend or whatever tickets to the game. Mm-hmm. It was his first ever Laker game, and I still believe there are enough people in this area where going to a Laker game, it's still an event. There are enough people that still want to go to do it.
Yes.
That you have a cushion that other organizations, like if the Orlando Magic struggle like this, they're not going to have that cushion.
I guess in my age demographic, I guess it's more of the scene. I'm at the Laker game. You know what I mean?
I get that, but that also, I still think you still get women dressed to the nines and all of that.
Because it's always going to be an event.
Right.
Before the actual fan that's
the Clippers at their best will never have that.
Oh, no, never
buzz. That's kind of my thing.
But I'm not going there to see one specific player anymore like I have been. You know what I mean? Like before in years past where there was that guy, I was going to go see that guy. Because right now, look, I have a young son. I don't know what jersey to get him. He lives in Los Angeles. I don't want to put him in a Steph Curry jersey. I mean, I don't want to put him in, because
throwbacks, my friend. Yeah, throwbacks.
I know. So I got to go find
That's what they're for.
It's hard to find a Magic Johnson 4T. You know what I'm saying?
I can hook. Actually, matter of fact, I'll recommend you off the air.
Oh, recommend
They may give you a jersey hookup.
A Magic Johnson 4T.
That actually have a good
size
place.
4T. Okay.
As you know, Funchess, I have good jersey and sports stuff hookups. I will talk to you off the air on that.
Yeah.
I think Laker fans, the one thing that, like, in terms of talking people off the ledge, as bad as this, first of all, the start of the season was the worst thing that ever happened to the team because you got an irrational sense of self-confidence that they probably bought into their hype a little bit.
Right.
And so now they've come crashing down to earth like Icarus on steroids, basically, and are going, what happened? And so now you're going to spend the second half of the season unpacking that, hopefully in an effort to just sort of, frankly, keep playing at this level to keep your draft pick in the hopes that in a loaded draft next year, you do find that guy, and then you start flipping one or two of these guys to get the pieces around him. But all I would say as someone who's been going through this process with my own team as a fan for several years, it's a zigzag process. It's not a straight line. And I will use the Washington Wizards as an example. They take a step forward, right? The great Paul Pierce, the series win, etc. Right. Then they take a step back the next season. And now you take another step forward to where you're a top-end team in the Eastern Conference and heading again in the right trajectory. And John Wall has sort of found his place, right? It's not a straight line, and it's not necessarily going to be with all of these guys. You may flip people around to ultimately get there. And the one thing I would say to you is you're still the Lakers, and just from the outside, and you're a Warriors fan, right? The Lakers, more often than not, just because of the sheer power of the brand, they just did this the franchise values the other day. The two most valuable franchises are still the Knicks and the Lakers. And of the two, one of those two players will still come and play for, and it's not the Knicks.
You know who's three?
In the NBA, I only saw the top two, but I'm going to guess, is it the Warriors now because of that makes sense because of the market.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco, if you just look at the real estate value alone with where they're moving, that new stadium, which is privately owned, I believe?
Privately financed,
okay.
Yes.
So real estate-wise alone, if you've talked to anybody, I had an ex-girlfriend who got evicted in San Francisco because they raised her rent like 6 times or so. I mean, literally to a multiple of 6.
Yes.
So that's what's going there. There's a huge issue going on with that in San Fran. So that makes a lot of sense. But even you, who has the hot team, right, of this era, the sort of boutique team, will always look at the Lakers and go, they're coming back. It's inevitable.
Yeah, and remember, I was in the dark days too, with the Warriors, so I'm not one to.
You know how the other half lives.
I know how it is, and I've never been one to gloat about, hey, look at my team.
No, because you're going to be back there eventually,
and you could be back there. And I remember I come from an NFL background as well, where you could be on top, and the next thing you know, be right on the bottom. Now, not necessarily the New England Patriots, but they were at the bottom at one point.
But the Raiders make it to the Super Bowl one year with Bill Callahan, right?
Yeah, Bill Callahan, and then all of a sudden, look, they've been a team that's been
enjoy Nebraska, Bill.
Yeah, I was on that team that people, made jokes about you. I played on a 2-14 team, but now all of a sudden,
what a loser!
Oh God, get out of here,
you loser!
Yes, I was on a team.
Can we get DeMarco in here, please?
Yes, I was on a team.
Somebody, I can't do this.
Yes, with the Valentine's Day holiday. Yes, 2-14. Yes, I know.
Why couldn't you have been on the Vikings boat trip team? Because then at least the stories.
I was not on that trip, but I do have teammates from college
that were on the trip.
On that trip, and trust me. When I saw him,
I didn't know that.
You got to understand, Jeff.
Partied quite that way.
This is one of my guys from college. Nice, white guy, buttoned up, always.
Why's he got to be white?
No, I'm just letting you know because
you don't expect white guys.
No. He's buttoned up, and everything is listening to a certain type of music. But you got to understand, when I saw him and I asked him what happened on that boat, he looked at me and said, "Brother, I didn't even know, brother." His words exactly. He looked at me with these wide eyes. It's like, brother, I don't even know where to begin. Because it was something he had never seen before.
Well, it takes all kinds in free agent recruiting, doesn't it? I want to really quickly, let's move on and reset. We'll maybe hit the Lakers again back here at the end. I want to really quickly to button this up before we talk a little about this Draymond thing. This Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook thing,
yes,
it's total bunk. Why do we do this to ourselves? If you haven't heard this, folks, there's a rumor out there. The Wasserman Media Group, which represents Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis, sort of floating around the idea that the two could end up in L.A. to help refuel the Lakers. I'm going to pose you a question because you're an NFL guy. Is this not now? The Lakers have become the equivalent of what L.A. used to be as a football market, where you tell them, if you don't give us a new stadium, we're going to L.A.
Yeah.
If you don't extend Anthony Davis, you're going to give the max to. Why are we doing this? They're going to get the max. There's no negotiating leverage to be had in this, is there?
What is there to talk about in New Orleans right now? Besides the All-Star game. There's nothing.
Beignets?
Yeah, beignets.
The Bachelor was just there.
Wait, is Mardi Gras already over with, right?
No, it's coming up. End of February.
End of February, yeah. See?
Have a
so look,
punchki.
outside of that, there is nothing to talk about. Football season's over. They don't have a baseball franchise. All they have is an NBA franchise that is just meddling along, and Anthony Davis is there. So you give them just a little piece of he may be leaving.
Wait, hold on one second.
And it keeps everybody.
They got the All-Star game.
You're getting
coming.
checked.
I said
You're getting
All-Star
checked
game.
from the booth. Oh, you did say the All-Star game?
I said All-Star game.
Oh, then you're getting checked in reverse.
I said
listen to the show.
All-Star game. He ain't
jerk.
listening. Michael Funch is back there eating donuts.
My goodness.
That's the first thing I said. Besides the All-Star game coming up, there's nothing really going on. So, look, you like to float that around. You want to keep your clients, you want to keep them feeling as if
Well, that
they're
doesn't excite
wanted.
New Orleans.
Well, I know,
That
but
excites the client.
But we've heard that before, though. Remember with other players, though, whether
Yes, every year with every big name
Kevin
player
Durant,
that's
Carmelo
coming
Anthony,
up on free agency.
Kevin Love. I mean, you look around the
Yeah.
NBA in general. This is what agents do. You float it around.
Remember Charlie Brown in the football, and he'd run up to the football, and Lucy would move the football, and Charlie Brown would fall on his butt, right? And then he'd get up and do it again. Let's stop being Charlie Brown in the media and doing this. Like when the Lakers are in a position where we really believe free agents are looking at them as, particularly might I add, free agents either entering the end of their prime or their prime, all right? Because at that point, by the time Westbrook, you're going to be really the back half of your, say the sweet spot of your prime heading to the back half of it, right? You're not going to a team that can pay you significantly less and isn't good. Let's just dispel any notion about it.
And the guys coming into the NBA just aren't players that you say, wow, we draft him, our franchise changes tomorrow. It's just not the way the NBA is anymore. Remember before where you couldn't wait for the NBA draft because you say, man, we get that guy. Look, we are a contender. We are, man, he's going to make people going to show up. That's not the NBA draft
And listen,
anymore.
this is considered a loaded draft coming up, right?
Yeah.
And they will work us into a state of hyped frenzy.
Right.
It's Pavlov.
Until you roll him out there and all of a sudden you see him in Summer League, you're like, he's okay.
Listen, if we were to, with great love to Mel Kiper, who we all love, Mel Kiper's been on TV
he releases
who the hell is? Was that Irsay? Who said who the hell is Mel Kiper? Remember that? That was like the greatest. It was the Colts exec at the time, I believe, right? Wasn't it?
Bill Polian?
Was it Bill Polian at the time? I think it might have been. Perhaps the greatest audio quote in ESPN history. If we were to analyze, and I'm sure, by the way, there is some guy who lives in a basement who has got a spreadsheet with all of this, or probably actually, John Hine probably has got a website monitoring this right now. Every time Mel Kiper got it right versus wrong in terms of guys he hyped relative to their actual on-field performance in their career, I'm going to bet you the percentage is way lower than anybody. So
much lower.
With great love to Mel, I'm not knocking him. I'm just like, this is part of the process. It's the razzle dazzle of how we sell all of this stuff. And we had Jay Billis on once, and I literally asked him, like, who the hell are we to believe anything anybody you guys saying at this point? Because we get it wrong every year. Like, it's part of the hype process.
Right.
We'll do it to ourselves.
It's the
again.
fans. It's the fans. They want to know. Tell me about him. Tell me about him.
It's marketing. Who are we kidding?
We want to know, will
machine.
he save us? Will he bring us back?
Bring them into the machine. That's like Nick Cannon is doing. Nick Cannon is bringing them into the machine. Do what he's doing. Did you see that? He's getting fired from NBC and bringing them into the machine.
Yeah.
The Illuminati is controlling NBC. Be careful. Funchess, have you been following this? Before we get to Draymond, we need a palate cleanser of Nick Cannon losing his mind, allegedly.
A little bit of it.
What do you think of this?
Oh, my goodness.
Does NBC have did you see this? Does NBC have a right to fire him?
I mean, he was on another show.
Quit, he said, though, right?
He was on another show just saying whatever he wanted to say. I mean, I don't think NBC has a contractual right to fire him.
He basically, yes, he went on...
He didn't say it on AGT.
He did a comedy special on Showtime, right?
That's right.
And went on and disparaged NBC. Word got back to him. Let's do all right, really quickly, as a brief aside, and then we'll get into the Draymond as a palate cleanser. Which is the dumber career move of the week? Okay, I'll leave it to put it with an 877-710-ESPN if you want to chime in on
career
this.
Move of the week.
Chris Brown was, or not Chris Brown, excuse me, Nick Cannon. Freudian slip there.
Whoa.
My goodness, not at all the same thing. Forgive me. Excuse me, Nick Cannon. I apologize. Nick Cannon's making $4.5 million a year hosting America's Got Talent.
Right.
He goes and does and I don't know if you've ever seen, like, he'll go on Howard Stern and stuff, and he'll do a very different routine from what he does on there. It is not anywhere near as
buttoned up,
mainstream, polished, if you will. He goes and does a special for Showtime, rips NBC and makes fun of the fact that, like, I act one way that's totally fake on here. This is the real me, flim flam, like, if I can quote Eddie Murphy from Raw, and does it, and then gets rumors that he hears that NBC wants to fire him, so he moves and he quits on his own. And now supposedly wants to maybe get back in, although NBC is going to wipe their hands, etc. So walks out of $4.5 million. That's number one. Number two, Josh Elliott, the newscaster, who has bounced around from here to there, whatever, goes to CBS. Is told, gets a big, after really getting sent on his way for a whole bunch of issues at the last job, goes to CBS, is told, you're going to do the CBS online thing for a little bit, but hold tight, we're going to bring you on to the main newscast. You're going to be part of everything we do here. You just have to be quiet about it. And Josh, don't worry, we're going to take care of you. So last Friday, the moron goes on the air and says, hey, it's my last day on CBS Online. I'm moving up to the big show. It's been a pleasure. He didn't tell management. Management pulls him to me and says, you're fired. Have security walk him out. Probably making, again, $4 million, something like that. Who is the bigger moron? I leave it to you, Kirk Morrison.
I would think Josh Elliott is. And here's a guy who...
that is the correct answer, I think.
Yeah, and watching him, I think he was... What else was he was on? Is it
Good Morning America? He's been on NBC, AB. He's literally burnt bridges.
I think he was doing. Wasn't he doing like the Kentucky Derby as well?
Yes,
he was doing.
But he was an ESPN guy.
Yeah, ESPN guy.
And then they wanted him to be like daytime
television,
yes,
or daytime morning news, and all that.
He's got. You have to be a certain level of vanilla,
yes,
to make it on morning television. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not me.
You got to just be. I'm so inoffensive.
Morning radio, yes.
No, morning radio, you can get a Howard Stern. You can do whatever you want. It's different.
But morning TV,
you're in the gym. Moms are waking up. They don't want to see underdog lady.
I think the key part, you said you're in the gym, meaning that I had to be in the gym every day to be on morning TV.
You're right.
Yeah, so
yes, exactly right.
But yeah, that being said, no, it was Josh Elliott. You can't make that decision on. First of all, you ain't even got nothing in writing. First of all, think about it. You can't go off a handshake deal. I need to have that thing in writing.
I mean,
write that thing out to me, and then let me know that you can go. Basically go against what management is saying, but he didn't do that. So, but look, Nick Cannon gonna find him another job. He gonna go back to Wild 'N Out. He gonna go back to MTV. He gonna go start See, Nick Cannon, he's actually kind of smart.
Oh, he is. I agree with you,
because he understands what his genre is. He understands what people want. You know what I mean? He does that just to do it. And when I watched him on, was it America's Got Talent? What is it? I don't even know what it is. But when you watch him on that, you're like, that's not the Nick Cannon I know. Here's a kid who I know. I mean, he's from San Diego. We're the same age, and I've hung out with him before.
That's not drumline Nick Cannon.
No, that ain't the drumline Nick Cannon.
This is Saldana.
This is Nick Cannon uncensored, and I think he wants to get back to the more uncensored, because I think really that's what. I think the people who his following want to see.
Well, okay, I think you hit the biggest thing here, which is he can counter-program to this and say, hey, I'm too hot for NBC.
Yes.
And go off and reinvent himself, etc. He has another act to go out and play in this, and he can always direct sell to his own audience. Josh Elliott has nuked bridges, apparently, at everyone. Like, are you going to Univision next? Like, where do you go at that point? Al Jazeera America is
Telemundo.
I mean, literally, he's going to be on a telenovela in the morning, and the guy dressed as the Bumblebee from The Simpsons. It'll be great. And Conan guest starring. It'll be awesome. So that is your palate cleanser for the day, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, we return you to the world of sports with this audio. And by the way, when you do the Power Hour, where it is, there's no commercials, so you can't reset.
I haven't breathed yet.
No, it's like free form. What's your social media, by the way? Let people follow you.
At Kirk Morrison.
At Kirk Morrison on the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
I am at Worldwide Cats on the Instagram. I am off the Twitter and the Facebook, by the way. I got off of Facebook.
Really?
Because politics, I can't handle it. Hollywood people people basically are my friend, and you can't follow. It's like people losing their minds.
So you got off
every 2
Facebook
seconds.
yesterday,
and it's weeks ago. And it's wonderful.
Okay, because I got to come back to that because there was something that happened yesterday on Facebook that just tells me where our country is, and I'll come back to that.
All right. Well, really quick before you do that, and before we hit this Draymond Green point, we have to note we've got a giveaway, and we're going to do the giveaway right now, Funchess, because we can't let you have a free minute and enjoy another donut. You've got to do some work. As such, right now, caller number 7, we are looking for you, 877-17-ESPN. That is 877-710-ESPN. It sounded like I said 17 ESPN, excuse me. 877-710-ESPN. Call right now. Caller number 7 wins a 4-pack of tickets to the Hoops on the Strip experience, which includes 1 night for 4 at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Very underrated. I've stayed there many times, might I say. Prime location. 4 tickets to Planet Hollywood's Hoops on the Strip viewing party on Saturday, March 18th. Includes food and drink. I will go on the record and say, I went when I was an exec at Fox. Planet Hollywood was the Aladdin, and they did like $1 billion renovation on it. And they invited everyone in town who was a VP or above at the studios to their opening weekend thing. And you got a free room and free tickets to, it was Barbra Streisand one night, and I think Jon Stewart the next.
The Aladdin.
So I went with my buddy, and we drove out, and we ended up going, and we missed the first night, but we ended up. It was great. They took awesome care of us, and I ended up going back and got VIP. So it's probably the most prime location on the Strip, if you think about it. It is dead center in the middle of all the action. But my friend and I are idiots. We went, they gave us, we're not going to 2 single guys or 28 years. We're not going to Barbra Streisand. Mm-hmm. But we went to the champagne reception, and we drank about 15 glasses of free champagne each, and we didn't scalp the Streisand tickets. And I look back at that, and I realize that she gets big money.
Yeah.
Like I could have walked out of that weekend with like $1,000 profit probably. But the moral of the story is this is a great contest. Caller number 7. Go ahead and win it. Kurt, do you want to finish your point and then we'll get into the Draymond?
No, it was more about yesterday, I think on Facebook Live. Did you see the race?
Like 4 murders or whatever?
No.
Oh. I heard that. There have been people who are like, they 4 murders at the same time
on Facebook
a couple days ago on Facebook Live.
No, it was
Zuckerberg might want to look into that.
Yeah,
this might be an issue.
Yeah, get off of Live. How about that? I know where you're at. No, but there was yesterday. They actually had a race, the tortoise versus the hare yesterday.
Oh,
it was I think it was a 45-minute race yesterday on Facebook Live, and people literally they had over 150,000 viewers watching the tortoise race the hare.
Is that so?
Yes.
Sweet meteor of death, get here faster.
And the comments on the comments, because I caught it.
The hare won.
I just watched it, yes. No, the hare lost. That's the crazy.
Kidding me.
So we watched this, not we. I'm going to say, I watched the clips. I watched the highlights. So the tortoise faced the hare. So while the hare was literally in the corner the whole time, just kind of like feeding and eating and defecating on the property or the racetrack, while this tortoise, as slow as he was going, beat the hare yesterday, which made everybody erupt. It was literally 45 minutes where people of their day, so I look, dude, I don't care if I get fired, I gotta watch this, because we've had this notion that the hare will beat the tortoise. The tortoise beat the hare.
The story was right.
Yes, all along. Yes.
So now I have to reconsider my entire life. If I ever see a trail of breadcrumbs or candy going into the woods, I'm definitely not going to follow it now.
Yes, you have to go find the story. It happened yesterday.
That's insane.
Yes, literally people watched it, and you got to read the comments because people were like, I don't know if I'm going to get this 45 minutes back, but it was so interesting of watching this tortoise literally take step for step. 45 minutes long.
They say when you die, you see your whole life played out for you. Those 45 minutes, a lot of people regretting them, I think, perhaps on their deathbed when it comes down to this. All right, we will get to Mic'd Up in a few, but first, I want to hit this Draymond thing really quickly. Here's Draymond Green talking about James Dolan, owner of the Knicks.
This is Charles Oakley. Why is he buying tickets to the game? If I'm not mistaken, Dolan's was owning that team when he was playing. It wasn't a problem when he was speaking out then. It wasn't a problem when he was protecting their superstars then. And so if it wasn't a problem then when he were doing it for y'all, why is it all of a sudden a problem now when he speak out on something that he don't like? And now you want to disown him from your entire organization. That's a slave mentality. You're doing it for me.
All right, I'm going to cut him off. So the big soundbite, listen, anytime you reference slavery in this context, it's going to blow up and turn into a big story. What do you think of this?
Well, I mean, obviously, he's got some strong comments. When you bring in the word slave mentality, I think sometimes players do kind of feel that way because here you are, you're the laborer. You're the guy that goes out and sacrifices his own body to go out and do your job. Your job is to go out there and play and give everything that you got. And at the end of the day, you hope that management, the fans appreciate what you've done for that organization. Same thing with Charles Oakley. That's a guy who, look, I wasn't a Knicks fan, but I knew watching Knicks games and watching Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason, those guys were enforcers. But they were part of that organization. They were part of that culture. They were part of the Knicks that you didn't want to run into those guys. And that's why they're celebrated. But at the same time, I think there's a situation in which those guys felt, I did all of this for you, but yet you don't give me the same gratitude.
Well, he was paid.
Right.
He was paid and paid
handsomely. Well, absolutely, but still, even now, see, this is where it happens too, where you get that former player versus active player. Because sometimes you forget about what he's done because you're not doing it right now. So really, what good are you to me now? I'm not going to celebrate what you've once done before because where we're at right now, it's not helping me celebrate you, but yet my basketball team is still bad. And then you're going to ridicule me and do all that. So it's two sides of it. There's the Dolan side and there's also the Charles Oakley side.
Thing I would say to this,
I don't know if it's a slave mentality or what, because I think it's a bad choice of words to use in that situation. But you understand that, look, I'm a former player. And so I know that I went out there and I played for my years in the NFL and I played for the Oakland Raiders. I started my years in Oakland. I went out there, did everything that I could. Our organization wasn't at its best at that time. But at the end of it, you do want to feel, I think, appreciated for what you did do. And I think that's where Oakley is a little upset at that. And I think that's what Draymond Green is trying to, I think, express, that if this guy did this for your organization, make sure you take care of him. Make sure he's always invited to the suite. Make sure he's always invited to a part of this.
It's a critique of bedside manner is really what it is. I'm with you. I think it's an unfortunate choice of phrase because that's not slavery, because it was slavery. Like Michael Jordan, an ex-slave, now owns his own plantation. I don't think you saw many old ex-slaves, do Sojourner Truth didn't end up doing that. You know what I mean? And so I just cringe at the I get it, okay? And James Dolan is a very hard guy to defend. I don't want to defend him. He's the worst owner in sports. This has been so mismanaged. If you had the slightest sense of bedside manner and how to manage people, this junk wouldn't happen and you wouldn't be in this situation. That's why Adam Silver and Michael Jordan were wise to step in for the good of the league. I just feel like the NBA, if you said this in the NFL, I'd have a little more empathy for you because your contract's not worth the paper it's printed on in terms of the money that's advertised versus what's guaranteed and the length of your career. In the NBA now, where the very mediocre players are going to make an enormous, way more money than Bill Russell made in the run of his lifetime at a multiple of 10, I don't know that I want to hear it necessarily. So I generally am a big Draymond guy. I don't love this one, though I don't want to defend James Dolan. Hey, Funchess, because I'm new to the Power Hour, when do we go to Mic'd Up exactly?
Right now.
Oh, what a segue. And with that, we should note OJ Made in America, the most decorated documentary of the year. I think it is going to win the Oscar, might I add. Winning over 45 awards, including the DGA, that's the Directors Guild, the PGA, the Producers Guild, 4 Critics' Choice Documentary Awards for Best Documentary Feature. Critics have declared it a triumph, a landmark achievement, the #1 documentary of the year, and now it's an Academy Award nominee, and it's going to win. I will say it now. Take it to the bank. Bet your money. OJ Made in America, available in its entirety on the ESPN app or on Watch ESPN. And now we go to Mic'd Up. Is Mic'd Up's no longer brought to you by anybody? It is no longer. Mic'd Up is brought to you by us.
Jeff Katz and Kirk Morrison.
By Kirk Morrison. Find us on social media, harangue us, etc. Kirk, you go first, please.
Okay. Wow. Mine is Trump related. How about that?
Go for it.
Donald J. Trump,
yes,
our president-elect.
He's the actual president.
Yeah, he's actually president.
He's been elected.
He's 45th. Yeah, he's our elected president. We elected him president.
President-elect is before you're sworn.
Yeah.
He's president.
He's
the president.
Our 45th president, basically. There's a tradition that's been going on over the last 8 years with Barack Obama when he was our president, our 44th president. There's a tradition that will no longer keep going on, Jeff. The NCAA tournament is almost here, the NCAA college basketball tournament. And every year we already know our guy, Barack Obama, used to do a bracket. He used to fill out a women's bracket and a men's bracket. Well, this year, the White House and Donald Trump have declined the invitation for him to fill out a bracket, in which I thought was pretty cool that the president actually cared about sports for some people. Maybe it was just that one March Madness month, but it was still fun. So this year will mark the first time in 8 years that a president will not fill out a bracket for a men or women's bracket. But I want to throw this out there too as well, though, that all the brackets that were filled out by Mr. Barack Obama or President Barack Obama are now, I think, in the archives of the American History Museum.
Oh, really? That's kind of like,
that's pretty cool. So that's unique. But so my question to you is, would you have wanted Donald Trump to fill out a bracket? It'd be interesting his take on what he thought about Syracuse or Villanova, or what would he put UCLA or USC in his bracket?
I would have no issue with. I'll be frank with you. I'm someone that wishes ESPN did no politics whatsoever.
Right.
I really wish we would just get like, I don't want town halls. I don't want any of this stuff. I want sports.
But wouldn't you want to see his logic on?
Yes. Oh no. I'm saying I'm glad that they offered it to him. I was actually curious to see if they would offer.
Gotcha. I hear you. Okay.
I'm glad they offered. And I am at some level. I think it would have been a cool thing to keep it going.
A deal when I see it. I know it.
It would have been.
I like Villanova
as a piece of outreach for him. I think it actually maybe would have been a smart move strategically. That said, though, am I going to lose sleep? No. No. If I never see another politician on ESPN again, I'm not. I'll be very happy. To be very honest with you.
You didn't like my Trump?
Your Trump was very good.
Okay. Yeah,
it was okay. It wasn't fabulous.
Lonzo Ball. I mean, USC, you got to put them in the Sweet 16.
But I in general, like, I'm at a point where I'm watching, like, House and Garden TV because I need an escape from politics. I'm a junkie for it.
See,
but I need a release.
I was on an HG tip for a while. You get hooked on that, man.
Oh, yes. House Hunters International, baby.
Dude, you get hooked on that, Jeff. How do you do that? Because then you start trying to go around your house and start to make stuff up that's not even there. Like, you know what? I do need another toilet roll. You know what I mean? Like,
as a matter of fact, after I get out of here, I'm building an ashram after I get out of here, as a matter of fact. All right, we have a couple minutes, right? So we'll get a couple more of these in. All right, really quickly then, because I do want to hit something important at the end to make sure we get time to get it in. Really briefly, I want to give a shout out. Mike Ilitch passed away, created Little Caesars Pizza, owner of the Detroit Red Wings and Tigers. I had the pleasure of watching a game with him in the owner's box several years ago. And just as an aside, probably you will not meet very many owners tied more to the foundation of their city than this guy in terms of the money put back in. He paid Rosa Parks rent without publicizing it for years until her death after her apartment got robbed. He was a remarkable guy. Wow. So I just want to bring up for you, I believe he belongs very clearly on the list of greatest owners in modern sports era. Dr. Buss very clearly on that list. Mm-hmm. Who else would you put on that list as the greatest owners in modern sports history?
Greatest owners. Wow.
Do you have to put Bob Kraft on now?
Yeah, I think you have to.
You kind of have to, don't you?
Because you saw him go through different eras. You know, they went to a Super Bowl.
That's
before.
the trick. Yeah. I think you have to, like, Dr. Buss's teams were able to adapt. I think the thing we look at Ilitch's Red Wings teams, less so the Tigers, although they were successful.
You have to look at now decades. Think about it.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, show me.
And maintaining.
You show me an owner.
Spurs ownership.
That can go 3 decades. I think that's going to be you give me 30 years of ownership. That's where I think you put.
You almost have to start at that point.
Don't give me 10 years.
That's a very good point. So then, by that metric, Bob Kraft couldn't be in it because you got Victor Kiam is not that long in front of Bob Kraft.
Exactly.
But I think you're right when you look at.
I think Bob is at 20-something years.
It's got to be 20 plus because Victor Kiam had the thing with the reporter and then sold it not long after.
Right.
It is one of those cases where, though, like I think you're right. It requires decades of longevity.
Yes.
And just a shout out to him. Getting to watch a game with him was a real pleasure, and he played in the minor leagues, so it was personal to him in a way that I don't know that it is for a lot of modern owners.
Oh, so last night they had they call the broadcaster swap on ESPN.
Yes, I like when they do that.
Yeah. So last
Dickie
night
V calls pro.
It was Dickie V, Dave Pasch, and our gift from God, Bill Walton.
Yes,
as they were calling Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Indiana Pacers, and last night Bill Walton dropped a little nugget on the time that he got Richard Jefferson suspended 2 games at the University of Arizona. So this is the story. Last night, he just kind of brought up, and I remember the story from back in the day, but it's great to hear it again, where Bill Walton son, Luke Walton, who we know, coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
The great Arizona Wildcat.
Yeah, so Richard Jefferson would stay over Bill Walton's home. They had a big home in San Diego, which I've been to before, but they lived with each other in the off seasons when they were on break from college. So Bill Walton, this is when the Lakers were in their 3-peat era. Bill Walton had tickets to the NBA Finals here in Los Angeles, and he said, you know what? I got some extra tickets, huh? You guys go. So he gives the tickets to Luke.
Can't do that.
Well, Richard decides to go. They all go. They have a great time. They take pictures. It gets back to the Arizona Republic or whatever, the newspaper out there. It's publicized, pictures taken. Richard Jefferson suspended 2 games in college for that. And so Bill Walton says, I accidentally did that. Do you think it was fair or unfair to suspend a guy 2 games for a family friend?
You got to hold the state. You know what? If you're going to have those rules, as stupid as it is, you got to hold to them.
A family friend, though, like,
I think it's dumb. You got to hold to them. If you're going to do it, you got to hold to them.
Really, though? Like, NBA Finals tickets.
It's stupid.
To go see the Lakers.
Johnny Manziel got in trouble, I think, once, too. Didn't he, for something, for tickets or something? When he was they had family money, so they bought family money. So
they were buying him courtside tickets in Dallas,
It's stupid. Oh, well. I mean, I'm with you.
So,
I'm sorry. Hit that premature air horn. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
That never happens to me.
No, you're good.
All right, really quickly before we go to Stephen A. Smith, shout out. This is a Howard Stern thing, so credit to him, but I want you to listen for this, because I had never heard of this, and Funchess, you particularly, next time you watch The Bachelor with your girlfriend, do you know what vocal fry is? I had never heard of this, and Howard Stern brought this up the other day, and now I can't, you're listening to KSP in Los Angeles, I can't unhear it. Women are doing this everywhere, and female listeners of the station, please reach out to us. We need to stop this. Women, particularly on The Bachelor, you know what I'm talking about, Funchess? They're doing this.
I know exactly what you're talking about when they talk really slow.
It sounds like they're half frog. I never noticed it. He brought it up the other day, and now I can't unhear it. And so, like the tape in the ring, I'm passing it on to all of you. Listen to a lot of modern women are doing this now. He's right. Like, it started with like Britney Spears or Paris Hilton or the Kardashians, and it has seeped in. And now you talk a bit like this. I'm so excited about my date with Nick. And it's true. Listen for it. It's called vocal fry.
How about that?
Credit to him. We speak your name, Howard Stern. Had no idea it existed, and the man is right. It is everywhere. It is a scourge. It's like the aliens and They Live.
I think it came from the Kardashians.
Like, okay, really the Kardashians really did
they
it.
Talk like that.
Or the girl on Dr. Phil.
And they've had psychologists on trying to explain why they do this. And they say, is it trying to sound more intelligent, or what is it about? And we have, you know what? Next time I'm in here, we'll bring Amanda in for a moment and have her analyze vocal fry. But all of you, it's a scourge. Listen for it. One place you won't hear it, though, is with Stephen A. Smith coming up next year on ESPN. Kirk, total pleasure working with you today. At Kirk Morrison on Twitter, at Worldwide Cats on the old Instagram. Stephen A. Smith coming up next. It's Thompson and Trudell, ESPN LA.
The NBA All-Star Game this Sunday.
Here's Curry behind the back, half-court heave on its way, and he hits it!
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.